Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day and above all else that you're indeed looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome back to the channel before we get into the topic of another fantastic episode, Mr. Jim Bricker. How's it going, Jim?
Hey, I'm doing all right. I've told you once, Armando, and if I have to tell you 1,000 times, I guess I need to do it. Quit copying my wardrobe.
You're a trendsetter.
Stop
What
it.
can I say? You're a
Hey.
trendsetter. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a complete accident, by the way. when we came on Zoom and we were like, you're wearing the same color shirt. Well, his is lighter than mine, but yeah, he's a trendsetter. What can I say? Ladies and
Hey.
gentlemen, we are back with Now Hear This Volume 4. Oh, Jim has put together a list of albums that have been released between the months of March and April of 2025. This is a hell of a list. Um, so, without further ado, we are going to get into it, and I will pass the word from Mike over to Jim. Take it away, Jim.
Okay, well, thank you. This is a continuation of an exercise I've really tried to kind of force myself into, which is trying to keep abreast of more modern music that's out there.
Hmm.
And looking through this list, it's funny that maybe only about half of it is modern. A lot of it is kind of a throwback, but boy, what a throwback! And we'll get into that as we go. So
Yeah,
I'm going to
definitely.
start. I'm sorry.
Definitely. No, you're right. You're right. I was just agreeing with you.
Okay. I am going to start with an album that had a very limited release and was upon its initial release, and this might have been back in February, was exclusively released on Apple Music. And this is the new album from Brian Eno called Aurum, Aurum. I may be mispronouncing that, but
No,
there we
you're right.
go.
You're right.
Okay. So Brian Eno, as you know, kind of if he doesn't own the genre of ambient music, he just should, just because of all the trails that he's blazed and the way that he's been able to make this music, which um, would seem just so um, unconnectable, but he's found a way to make it really, really relatable. Um, my discovery of Brian Eno and what he's done with ambient music goes all the way back to the Discrete music album from 1975. Um,
Mhm.
and I didn't hear it until the late 80s, but wow, it really bowled me over. And I think about three or four albums that are kind of in the pinnacle of all the different releases that Eno has done in a more ambient sense. He's done some pop music albums immediately after Roxy Music, but once he kind of started down the road of the more ambient stuff, it's kind of been his genre to own.
Yeah,
Discrete music, ambient one, which is subtitled Music for Airports.
I have that.
Um, yeah, Thursday Afternoon, which is a single, like 1 hour composition, and then an album called Neroli, which is subtitled Thinking Music, which again is another like hour long or 64, 65 minute album. All four of those are just outstanding in terms of their ability to kind of set a mood, but yet it's not just background music. It can be if you want it to be, but if you want to engage with it and what's happening with the melody and the sonics and the dynamics shifting, it rewards on that level too. And I am more than happy to put Aram in that category of those other four albums.
hmm
This is it's an amazing album. There's about 15 tracks on it, and to me it delivers everything that I can want from an Eno album. It's got these immersive cascades of tone coming in and out, and there's a lot of peaceful chords that really sort of envelop. the listener. My understanding is that this album was sort of designed to take advantage of the Dolby Atmos technology that Apple Music has, and that listeners can take advantage of if they have the right Atmos headsets that go with it or sound systems.
Mhm.
And, this is just, amazing stuff. I mean, electronic music, it can be really cold and really sterile, but, you know, Eno makes it transcendent. I mean, this isn't just bloops and bleeps of music. It's, chords and tones and washes of things. It's just really warm, affirming, glorious, kind of transcendent. Eno hits this out of the park. I mean, this was like a home run. The first with the first listen that I had through it. Like I said, it fits in very easily with those other four albums. And to me, if folks were looking for recommendations of like the best of the Eno canon, I would have no hesitation of putting Arum among those other four albums.
Okay. Yeah, I am a little annoyed that it's only available through Apple Music right now.
Yeah.
And I was able to listen to three of the tracks, Fragmented Film, Gorgeous Night, and The Dawn of Everything. And it's good. I mean, and for ladies and gentlemen, because I don't have an Apple membership, I was only able to listen to snippets of these three songs, like little segments. But
Yeah.
they are fantastic. I mean, yeah, he does use a lot of textures and like you said, like diving in and out of um what was I going to say? Diving in and out of synth passages and stuff. I mean, it is amazing. It is amazing. And I want to check out
Hmm.
those other four albums that you mentioned. So, because I do have just a side note, I do have a box set that he released a few years back. Um, and I forget the name of it. Music for Elevators, I think it's called. Um,
Hmm.
it's a massive set that's downstairs in my rec room. Otherwise, we also call that down in the pit because I can barely get downstairs at this point. Um, and the Bermuda Triangle, but it is a fantastic album. Arm is, and um, yeah, it's just I wish you would release it in the conventional way. You know what I mean? It's like, you know,
Well, for those that are, sort of budget conscious,
yes,
if you start an Apple Music a trial account, and I don't recall if it's like 30 days or 60 days, if you cancel before, the timer goes up, you're not billed. So if you want to kind of check it out more fully,
yeah.
there's a window of opportunity for you to do so.
Okay, no, duly noted. Duly noted. Uh,
This is not an advertisement for Apple Music or other Apple products.
yes, we wish to stress this heavily. Okay. Um, now, the next album on our list. This is a doozy, ladies and gentlemen. Um, we have John Anderson and the Band Geeks live Perpetual Change, released March 14th, 2025, through Frontiers Records. Now, the deal with Frontiers Records is they have a habit of releasing their catalog or their new releases for a certain amount of time. So if you want to get these albums, through Amazon or wherever you get music, get them as quick as you can because they only release a limited amount, and then once they're gone, they're gone. I don't know why Frontiers does this, but this is a live album featuring 10 tracks. Beautifully done. And I'm going to steal the spotlight for 1 second.
Please let us discuss together.
Ladies and gentlemen, here you have it. The deluxe edition of Life Perpetual Change, two CDs, one DVD of the concert. It is released in a um, digipack. Just 1 second here. And you know my views on digipacks. Just a moment.
Okay. Looks like the CDs are nested in their little trays there.
Here we go. We have the three CDs plus the booklet in the little envelope on the side. Footnote, this is how you release a digipack with the CDs secure in the trays. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was just going to be listening to this online or, through the link that Jim sent me. But I decided to buy the album, and I'm very happy that I did. This is a fantastic representation of classic Yes music featuring John Anderson, of course. Some people would say he is Yes, but we won't go into that in terms of his vocals and stuff. But we won't go into that. But I will shut my mouth for now, and I will let Jim talk about this release some more. Please
Well,
go
I'll talk about it briefly because I think we've decided that we want to do a full album, a full episode, kind of like a live album spotlight on this. So
Yes,
I'll,
and a live album spotlight is coming up on this album very soon. Stay tuned. But for now,
yeah,
please continue,
it,
Jim.
so it's almost fair, not fair at all to review this album in the context of other modern music coming out in 2025 because the 10 Yes songs that they have on this album are stone cold classics that
Yes.
just slay almost any other music that comes along. It's just so good, and it's covering the period of 1970 through about 78 or so.
Mhm.
Tunes as early as Perpetual Change and
May
as
I go
late as Awaken, I think.
may I go through the list just very quickly?
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, on this wonderful package that I hope you will get, you have yours is no disgrace, perpetual change, close to the edge, heart of the sunrise, Starship Trooper, awaken, fantastic, and you and I, your move. I've seen all good people, a fantastic, opulent 22-minute version of Gates of Delirium, and the concert finishes off with a beautiful version of Roundabout. Okay, beautifully done. All of these songs are done in their entirety. There are no snippets here and there. There are no medleys. What you get is a full on experience of these songs done majestically and beautifully. Please continue.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and some of these songs are faithful to a T, like I've
Yes,
seen all good people. And
yes,
at other times, the band, kind of follows their own muse a little bit, like
yeah.
the bass solo section at the introduction of Heart of the Sunrise is not a slavish copy of Chris Squire. He's kind of doing his own thing here and there. And, for some people, that might be like heresy. But for others, it's kind of like, all right, he's kind of doing his own thing through that bass section, which is, fine by me. Is he as good as Squire? No, but very, very, very few people are. I mean, like Jocko. I mean, that level of people are as good as Chris Squire.
Yeah.
Um, as far as John Anderson goes, and this is from a full show in 2023. And yeah, you can hear that when he was about, 79 or years old when this was recorded. So he can't quite hit all of the heights, but he's still got enough of that timbre and quality in his voice where you're not kind of wincing going, "Oh, John, why are you trying to do this?" So we are very far from Phil Collins, Bruce Springsteen, very late Geddy Lee territory. I mean,
All
John
still
has still
beautiful.
got the goods. He can still deliver. And this set, I kind of made a joke about it the other day. It's like a Yes fans, wet dream. I mean, it's that good of a record, and the songs are just, as you listed earlier, they're that amazing. So
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim said wet dream on this show.
I
But
did. I thought
yes,
about
yes,
saying
and
Nocturnal Emission, but
no, 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 no. Wet
brought it down.
dream suits it. And I gotta tell you, listening to the file that I listened to online, I listened to it online, and I thought I had to get this. I had to get this. and it is on Amazon. And little side note, the CD cover is done in a glossy finish, not a matted finish, and you can get this for as low as 27.99 Canadian for the deluxe edition, which I was able to get, or for
How
maximum.
dare you? How
Hello,
dare you,
yes,
sir?
I know, scandalous, simply scandalous. Now, and um, the price goes between 27.99 to 37.99, and even for 37.99 for 3 discs, it's a steal. It's a steal. So please get your copy. It is a
Yeah.
fantastic snapshot of where the band are at that particular point in time in spring of 2023. Yes, some people would say or could view the Band Geeks as John Anderson's backup band, but you know what? They're not. They're not. The quality and the caliber of musicianship on this, stellar. I mean, you have Richie Castellano, uh, who plays bass, I believe, and he's the musical director for this group. So just amazing, just amazing. Richie Castellano, also member of Blue Oyster Cult for the past 20 years, give or take. So you have fantastic pedigree
Yep.
in this band. So I can't uh, promote this enough. Really, I can't. This is
I think if you're
fantastic.
a Yes fan, this is a no-brainer of a purchase.
Oh, please. Why aren't you buying it now? We give you
Ladies
permission
and
to
gentlemen, stop the video and
pause
go
this
buy this
video,
record and come back. Yeah.
pause this video, go buy it, and come back. I promise you. Open up another tab on your computer or however you're watching this on your device and buy this and come back and
We'll
watch
be
the video.
here. We'll wait for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here we go. Okay, now you're back. All right, cool. There we go.
Nice to see you.
There we go. Um, moving on, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. More to cover
Um,
with a whole
next,
nother episode down the road of the Perpetual Change album.
yes, yes, yes. We will have a live album spotlight on the Perpetual Change album coming to you very shortly. Moving on, we have from one end of the spectrum musically to another, we have Branford Marsalis Quartet with Belonging.
Yes, we do. Shall I take it?
Please do.
Okay, so first of all, this may not be as far afield as you intimated because there's a lot of jazz quality chops going on within Yes,
Yes.
and so we're not quite 180 degrees. Maybe we're about like 94 or so. But
Yeah.
if folks out there, are fans of music, I think this album is another easy recommendation. So the conceit around this album, and if you're a jazz fan, the title "Belonging" probably made you arch your eyebrow a little bit. This is a interpretation of the Keith Jarrett Quartet LP from '74. Branford and his quartet are taking the entirety of the Belonging LP and covering it. Now, we talked about
I'm
heresy a little bit ago. Go ahead.
sorry, I missed the Keith Jarrett reference. And I forgot that Keith Jarrett did release an album in '74 called Belonging. My bad. My bad. So
Hey, no problema. So I, this album just made me go, holy crap, in the best way possible. I mean, Branford and his quartet are just like spitting straight fire on this album. I mean, they're taking something that was that was really, really great, but yet as ECM recordings tended to be in the mid '70s, there's a bit of laid backness to it, even
mhm.
when there's a pretty up tempo bop type tune like the wind up. I mean, it doesn't really hook just because ECM was never a label like Blue Note or Verve or
Yeah.
Impulse, where it's like cooking was just what you did. Branford and his guys are just, like I said, they're spitting straight fire on this stuff, and they're taking these tunes and they're bringing all new life into this. So the two most famous tunes off this album are "Long as You Know You're Living Yours," which, if you're a fan of Steely Dan's Gaucho, you know exactly what the melody of this song is. And Brantford and his band are swinging so freaking hard on
Yeah.
this album. It sounds like an entirely new tune. It's looser. Um, you know, the original tune kind of hits harder on just like the two and the four on every measure, and that's fine. But these guys are just like all over the place.
Mhm.
I kick myself that I didn't write down the drummer's name on this. Um, but he is just, this is a cooking session. They're
Yeah.
just going for it. And there might be a little bit of reharmonization going on in the main melody here, but not enough to make you question, it's like, what the heck am I listening to? So by the time you get into this tune, you're already sort of aware of, okay, again, not a slavish copy, but these guys are kind of taking the spirit of the original and just amping it up. Um,
Yeah. And
now they're go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and even in saying that, when you do an album, look, when you do a re-recording of an album of any artist, you're caught between a rock and a hard place. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Yep.
If you do like a straight carbon copy representation of the album that you want, of the re-recording, um, you're slammed for that. But and on the other hand, if you try and take the music and try and make it your own, do a little bit of flourishes here and there, just make it put your own flavor to it or your own stamp to it. You get blasted for that as well. So you're
Sure.
damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So what do you do in those in those situations? You know what I mean? Like you're in a no-win situation, especially with an artist like Keith Jarrett with his, you know, with his brilliance in terms of what he did. So
Hmm.
what do you do? It's like, you know,
Exactly.
it's you're
Exactly.
caught between a rock and a hard place.
You are. And I'm putting a lot of emphasis on just how hard these guys are swinging on this
Yeah.
album.
Yeah, they
Not every
are. They
tune,
are.
yeah, not every tune is a banger like that. There's some pretty mellow ballads on here, and again, Branford and team are honoring that. They're not taking everything and just saying, "All right, let's just
Yeah.
swing and bop the hell out of it."
Yeah.
They are. They're doing justice and then some to all these tunes. So, kind of just by way of one more example, the Wind Up is another pretty famous tune from this record. And again, Branford and the quartet are just way more energetic than the original ECM recording.
Mhm.
Even while they're keeping the same relative tempo, everyone is just slamming on this thing. The pianist on this album, I did note the name there. Joey Calderazzo is the pianist, and he
Yeah.
has the complete unenviable task of taking on Jarrett, but he does it by just sort of putting Keith Jarrett to the side and say, all right, I'm not going to try to emulate Jarrett. I'm just going to make this my own thing. And
Mhm.
he does. Oh my God. It's just an amazing performance on this album. They came through the Bay Area um, probably a couple of months ago, and I completely missed it. And I kind of kick myself because to be able to have seen these guys, play this material live, I'm sure just would have made my head blow off of my body.
Exactly.
Um, this is my notes here say this is an album that is taking chances with something that's pretty essential to the jazz canon, and
Yeah.
they're just leaping over the original melodies and feel, and they're almost creating brand new tunes from these structures. And I've been listening to Branford Marsalis since like 1986 or so, from his album Renaissance forward. And this is just a whole new level of playing and leadership on his part. I can't recommend this album enough.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. It is a fantastic album. It's an album you can put on either on your own if you want to go on a musical journey on your own, like at night after like a day long, long day after work, etc. Or if you want to have friends over and you just put this on in the background, it's a beautiful accompaniment. And you can get this CD on Amazon for like 26.99 Canadian, and you can also go on Amazon.com, Amazon.co.uk, or any place you get music, and you can get this album for a decent price. It's good.
Any retailer, anyone that
Yeah,
carries a Blue Note releases,
which is pretty
this
much
is there.
anywhere. Yeah, no,
Yep.
it's true. It's true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on. Unless you had something else to add.
Go out and if you're hovering over the buy now button for perpetual change in Amazon, just frickin' add Branford Marsalis Quartet belonging to your cart. I You will not regret it.
There you go. There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next album in our list we're going to be talking about today, artist I've never heard of before, uh, Japanese Breakfast. And the album is called From Melancholy Brunettes. That's the
And
main
Sad Women.
and Sad
That's
Women.
that's
Yes.
that's the whole title.
Yeah. Released March 21st, 2025. Uh, Jim, I'll give my opinion at the end. Go ahead.
Well, so I picked this one because it is just kind of understated, outstanding pop that kind of deeply mines all kinds of, melodic paths and trenches and hills and dales that are out there. Michelle Zauner, who is the, might as well be Japanese Breakfast. Um, her releases have just really been characterized by these lilting melodies, and sometimes it's kind of wrapped in some kind of like minor key you know pop sensibilities, but there's all of the cliches that kind of come with modern pop are just not, they don't burden what Michelle brings forth with the Japanese Breakfast LPs. And this is I was a fan of the one prior to this, and but this one is just kind of on another level. It's like the first listen's like, okay, they're tapping into some vein that is really, really great here. It's semi-acoustic pop. It's definitely modern, but you can trace some elements back to what Carole King or Joni or any of the titans of female singer-songwriters have done. um, the other thing about this album is that Blake Mills is the producer on it, and he's brought kind of a soundscape to this that's very, very spacious, but it's also what I describe as just very taut. It's like every instrument is very distinct, and even though he's focusing on the vocals and the melodic strength of Zahner's voice.
Yeah,
Um, everything in here is distinct. It's clean. It's not muddy at all.
yeah,
But yet there's an element of space to here. Blake also produced a recent album by Lucy Dacus, who is kind of in a similar vein as Japanese Breakfast, but I didn't find that album as compelling and rewarding as this one is. It's 32 minutes. I mean, it's a short little pop and
yeah,
burst here, but
yeah.
it's worth it's while. I've got some specific track recommendations, but Armando, please share your thoughts first.
I was pleasantly surprised. I like the instrumentation on this album. the acoustic nature, acou- um, the acoustic instruments used on this album. It's very much acoustic guitar led for much of the album. Very intricately done in terms of um, overdubbing of guitars and stuff in terms of that. But her vocals are just fantastic. Very I don't want to say wistful, but it has that kind of quality to it. Kind of just
Hmm.
comes in like a gentle breeze. You know what I mean? In terms
Yeah,
of the
it's almost
delivery.
dreamy.
Almost dreamy. That's right. You know, and I'll just say for me, certain the songs that stand out for me are Orlando in Love, Mega Circuit, even Little Girl's a nice track as well. Um, Picture Window is a good track as well. I was surprised to hear Jeff Bridges on Men in Bars on this.
Yep.
I was surprised to hear that. Um, and when I was thinking about Jeff Bridges on vocals, I thought, okay, he'll bring a strong presence to the track, like in terms of his vocal delivery. No, he really didn't. No, but interesting, interesting. And another song that for me that I liked was Winter in LA.
Yeah.
But yeah, I I like this album. I really do.
Hmm.
And it was a pleasant surprise. So, what are your standout tracks for the album?
Well, we match on three of them. Mega Circuit, Little Girl, and Winter in LA, I thought are all just fantastic standouts. I would add Here Is Someone and Lita to the list.
Hmm.
But, I think between the two of us, we've covered like 8 of the 10 tracks that are on here as
Yeah,
standouts in one way or another.
yeah.
Um, it's albums like this that that give an old guy hope for modern music, if you will.
Well, to
You know,
me, I hear what you're saying. This kind of harkens back to the singer-songwriter um, era in terms of the 1990s. I'd say early to mid 1990s. You don't hear a lot of music like this anymore out there, uh,
no.
which is sad.
Hmm.
It's really sad. But
And just kind of going back to like the first of the Now Hear This episodes that we did, we talked about Sophie Jameson.
yeah,
We talked about the weather station. Um, in our volume 3, we talked about Sharon Van Etten. So there is some quality stuff that's coming out here in this,
yeah.
female, women's singer-songwriter category. It's just great to have another one to add to it. My ears are usually open and willing to kind of go down this road. I
Mhm.
mentioned the Lucy Dacus album, even though it didn't kind of turn out being a favorite for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm willing to give stuff a listen and give it a shot. And the Japanese Breakfast album is very rewarding in that.
I think it is. I think it was a pleasant surprise for me, like very much so. So,
Cool.
but we must carry on, ladies and gentlemen. The next album on our list we have here is from a group called My Raining Stars with their album Momentum. Um, Short playing time again, 39 minutes. The songs are very short in length. They range from 3 minutes and 23 seconds. Well, no, 3 minutes flat in terms of playing time to maximum playing time is 5 minutes and 51 seconds. So before I give my 204 cents, Jim,
I'll throw in my nickel's worth first.
go for it.
So first of all, you did flash the cover up there, yes?
But of course,
But of course, the cover, the vibe of the cover does not equal the music inside.
no, it doesn't.
It's a bit of a head fake here. And that kind of took me aback, but I'm like, all right, I can get into this. The best way to describe this album is by trying to make a couple of comparison contrast statements here. Um, The first one is that I'll call this introspective, but not navel gazing. And to kind of bring the point home, it's like imagine Nick Drake, but mixed with Tom Petty. There's elements of both kind
Yeah,
of
I get that.
the working in this album, but they work well together. The other comparison that I'll make is that to to kind of tune your ear to what you might be in for, picture imagine something in your mind's ear that sounds like the vibe from The Cure from the 1980s, but with a Brian, let's go back to Brian Eno, but with a Brian Eno vocal style that comes from what he did on his 70s album, like Before and After Science or Another Green World or something like that. This guy just has that kind of quality to his voice.
Yeah,
So kind of picture that voice and put it atop, a 1980s Cure vibe, but lyrically and lyrically you're kind of in between Nick Drake and Tom Petty.
yeah,
It's it, it's a very, very interesting but a very, very compelling mix.
yeah.
Um,
It is.
each track to me on this album is like this little pocket of joy. It's just unpretentious, but it's yet not simplistic. And this makes me want to turn out my stereo and listen to the whole album again. I really, really enjoyed this. And again, this was just out of left field. In doing my research for like new releases, I had never heard of My Raining Stars, but apparently this guy's been making music since the 90s. Um, Speaking of the 90s, I'll put a reference in here that I make several times on this channel. This goes back to my favorite radio station, KFOG. And back in the 90s, KFOG would have called this quality rock and roll. It would have fit right into that byline, that tagline that they chose for their format. It's melodic power pop that kind of transcends all the cliches about it, and it really hooked me in. I was very pleasantly surprised about this record.
Yep. No, I hear what you're saying. When I heard this, when I was listening to it, I'm thinking The Cure, definitely.
Hmm.
A lot of guitar texture, a lot of guitar backdrop texture, like a drapery of guitar in the back.
Yeah,
But prominent in the mix. You know what I mean? Like very prominent in the mix. But um, I was also thinking slight Joy Division, all like
sure.
Ian
Okay.
Curtis, Ian Curtis, in that way. Um, Pleasantly surprised. The very good, very good. And you're right, the cover does deceive you
I
because
thought it
you're
was just going to
thinking
be one of those acoustic singer-songwriter type of
exactly,
things.
it's sitting out there in nature.
I
Uh,
got my I got my dock, I got my guitar, I got my dog. It's a
Somewhere,
lake,
like yeah, I've got,
of course.
and like I've got my guitar. I'm gonna just strum it. I'm gonna like come up with these ideas and just contemplate life and whatever. That's not what this is, but it's very accessible.
Yeah.
Um, well, one song that stood out for me was Void. Very nice melody on that track, and Special Place with. I noticed the bass on that most notably, but it is a good album. I do need to listen to it some more,
Hmm.
but it is a very good, accessible, again, short album, 39 minutes even.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this does give me hope that there are singer-songwriters out there for the for, for the modern age. Because I mean, with everything we listen to, you kind of get inundated with all this dreck. I mean, do you know what I mean?
Sure. Sure.
But this gives me hope, when I listen to this. But again, I do need to listen to it some more. So just to
Yeah,
see.
I would add the four songs to the standout list there. For Good, Stop the Time, The
Yeah,
Cost Within and Disappeared to me are four really, really great songs on this record. And if you wanted sort of a place to start and sample, those would be
pick,
a place
pick
to
those
do it.
songs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got the women covered with the singer-songwriter. We got the men covered with the singer-songwriter. Where, oh, where, Armando, will we go next? I wonder.
I will tell you. We are going off on a trip,
Yes, we
and
are.
I am going to need your help with this last name. Hiromi.
Yuhara.
Okay. Okay. With the album Out There. Uh,
Yep.
woo! Oh my goodness. Strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen, and away we go. Uh,
Away we go. Yeah.
63 minutes even. Oh my God. Jazz fusion galore. That's the only way I can describe this album for me. Jazz
Yep.
fusion galore. Uh, oh my goodness. Just all over the place. Just experimental changes in time signatures all over the place on the on this album. Just a good time romp musically. You know what I mean? Um, and I will let you, um, continue into it and go ahead.
Okay. Um, so this is an album that, yes, Hiromi Yuhara is the leader of. She's put together a band called Sonic Wonder, which is Hiromi on keyboards, and then augmented by bass, drums, and trumpet.
Mhm.
And Hiromi is switching in between acoustic piano and, Korg electric keyboards and whatnot. And so before I talk about this album, I just want to set some context here. If there are folks who have not seen YouTube videos of Hiromi play, you really need to do this because she has this childlike, amazing, just joy of discovery in how she plays that is just, infectious. There's a video out there of her starting to play, I think it's Paco Bell's Canon, and it evolves. She starts improvising, and it evolves into this like master class in like stride and blues piano to the end of it of just like this 9 minutes of, oh my God, I cannot believe she went from point A to point B, and I was completely lost in the sauce, as they say, of how she does it.
Yeah.
And again, it's just this. I mean, she came into jazz as a classically trained pianist, and once she kind of discovered, Keith Jarrett, Bill Evans, Art Tatum, Duke Ellington, folks like that, she just went, "All right, I'm going that way," and she has never looked back. And yeah, again, the clips of her on YouTube playing, whether it's with Chick Corea, whether it's soloing, whether it's part of the Sonic Wonder Band, or with harpist Edmar Castaneda, which we've talked about. Um, and she's also done a trio with Simon Phillips and Anthony Jackson. I mean,
Mhm.
she's just an amazing, amazing player. And this album kind of takes that unbelievable joy that you can see on YouTube, and it just leaps out of the speakers. It's
Yeah.
you talked about it. I mean, somewhere between funk, bop, ballads. I mean, there's some tunes that have like a little ska snuck in there.
Yeah.
Um,
She,
this is
the,
this go,
yeah. No,
please.
I'm just saying, even from the lead off track, first of all, these are pretty lengthy compositions. We're talking like 6 minutes and change to 8 minutes and change. So, um, just the even with the lead off track XYZ, the change in time signatures so quickly and so on the meter, like boom, 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 boom. It's like you're sitting there going, I've often said when you put on an album, strap yourselves in, and get ready for the ride or have it, go on a journey. This takes you on a journey, but you're not in
Oh
a
yeah.
car. You're not in a car. You're on a roller coaster. Do you know what I mean? Hold on to the railing and away you go. I mean, it's just out there, out there.
Yep.
And you're basically hanging on to the railing before you realize what the hell is going on here because
Right.
it's all over the map,
Yeah.
but it works. It works.
It works. I mean, to me, this album is, let's kind of take it in the context of, what we talked about just in this episode.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in between Live Perpetual Change and Belonging. But
Hmm.
yet, let's throw some James Brown in there while we're at it. It's just freaking amazing.
Yeah.
The bass player, the drummer, the trumpet player. I mean, they all bring the goods on this one, and this is a band that's really cooking.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
again YouTube videos out there on Sonic Wonder as well, and I highly recommend that. I will send you, my good sir, the URL to that Pachelbel's Canon video that I was talking about, because
Okay.
I think that you just haven't lived until you've watched her
Yeah.
take that on.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Sonic Wonder album, I was a little trepidatious going in just because I've found that Hiromi's albums haven't yet quite connected with me, but this one just like grabbed me by the tender hooks and just dragged me in.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And when Jim says, throw a little James Brown in there, we're talking a musical slap in the face. When you think that you know where this is going, you're literally turned around and like whomp, like snap, like this is okay. We're going in this direction now, and yeah,
Just now.
just now, and it is an experience. I will say that. Um,
Yeah,
but
the
yeah,
the three words that kind of stand out to me for this record are it's adventurous, but it's accessible, and it is outstanding.
yeah, yeah. It is good. It is good. I do say that. I will say, sorry, that I do need to listen to it some more to really try and wrap my mind around what is going on here.
Hmm.
But you know what? Maybe that's the beauty of it. Maybe you don't have to question it all the time. Maybe
Hmm.
you don't have to make musical sense of it. You just have to listen to accept it for what it is, and go for the ride.
Be in the experience of it. Yep.
Well, that's pretty much it, right? Um, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of Now Hear This Volume 4. We've gone through a list of albums that take you through the musical gamut from one end of the spectrum to another. I want to thank Jim for not only color coordinating with me unknowingly.
No, you
Um,
coordinated with me, Butch. Remember that.
okay, well, you are the older one, so I will acquiesce to you.
For your
Okay, so
elders.
I know Bob hates it when I tell him that, but it's true. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, with this list, please listen to these albums. Um, you can get them on streaming platforms, pretty much
Galore.
galore. Yes, yes,
Except for Brian. And we talked about how you listened to Brian Eno earlier.
yes,
So
yes, yes.
rewind and
Except for
get to that.
Brian,
But
and
it's worth it. I tell you, it is worth the investment to listen to that album.
it is, it is. And yeah, please check out John Anderson and the Band Geeks, Live Perpetual Change. Please, I cannot stress this enough. It is simply fan bloody tastic. Okay, phenomenal. Um, and once you've listened to these albums, please put down in the comments below your views on these albums. Have you heard them? And if you haven't, what are you waiting for? And you know, if you like them or not. We welcome constructive comments, and we want to open up a dialogue going on, with new releases coming out. And again, we try and present or bring to you just a cross section of music that is coming out. Not necessarily albums that you get in the mainstream or mainstream, you know, pop album, etc. But we want to bring just a bit of a change, just some dynamic change
Hmm.
with the content that we want to bring you. So again,
I would say, Armando, that I think with the exception of probably the John Anderson album, throughout these four Now Hear This volumes that we've done, I would say most of the stuff I presented to you has been outside of the normal
oh
wheelhouse of what
yeah,
you like to listen to.
yeah, no, you have that's why we do this, right? I mean, you know, and it's you're we're succeeding so far. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, again, please check out these albums again and let us know what you think. And please click like and subscribe and do hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content that we've got coming up. In terms of shows, we are in the midst of recording episodes of Attack of the Killer B-Sides. I've done one solo. I've done a couple with Bill. Jim is going to join me on one or two, I believe, at some point. And I've done one already with Ken. And we're just having fun with these episodes, and we do appreciate you watching. So please look after yourselves and one another. And again, click like and subscribe and notification bell as well. And we will see you soon with more videos. All right. Please look after yourselves and one another. Have a great day. Bye for now.